Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello again, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, and this is another duly noted podcast. Of course, as always, presented by the great people at Titan MRI. Go there and get your MRI done. Believe me, I've had many done there, and what a great job they do over there, and what a great sponsors they are of this. And, of course, we're coming from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and we're going to have Coach Spurrier on again today. I got some good questions for him today. Of course, his segment is also sponsored by Meldon Law. I'm working on Friday's guest. I haven't got him yet. A couple of options. Don't worry. I'll send it out and let you know who it is. I appreciate last week Todd Johnson joining us. It was great. We may go with another player. We may go with media type. You know us. You know what we do here. All right. So I hope everybody had a great Father's Day. Those of you who are fathers, those of you who are sons, should have been a great day. And those of you who've lost fathers and you know, are feeling some melancholy. And I felt that too. Certainly on Sunday, I actually went for a swim in the pool and thought a lot about my dad, who we lost last April. And again, I'm very happy to have had him as long as I did. And I know there's a lot of you, though, that didn't have your dads very long or barely knew your dad or everything. So still doesn't mean he wasn't your dad. And remember that. So anyway, I just hope everybody had as good a Father's Day as I had. It was amazing. Karen, she got mad at me last Mother's Day because I didn't do enough. And today I found out, or Sunday I found out, that this is what, and I don't want to find it out, this is what she always does. So she does something great on Father's Day, and I should be better on Mother's Day. But what she did is she made it was kind of a seafood boil. So you had potatoes and crab claws and salmon and shrimp and shrimp cocktails. So it was a different. It wasn't like a normal, like a low boil. They call them in low country boil up in South Carolina. It was amazing. The food was unbelievable. And then she made a cobbler in the crock pot that was to die for. So I had a great day, and mainly I watched a lot of golf. So let us get to the golf part, and we will do that with the Hand Law starting lineup. And of course, Hand Law is now the sponsor of the starting lineup, and we appreciate them. And of course, the starting lineup is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville, and we appreciate Chris Hand for everything he does. Let's start with number one, which was the U.S. Open. It occupied my weekend for the most part, with Matthew Fitzpatrick winning, a very emotional win for him. I think it was because he hadn't won a tournament on the PGA Tour yet, and that was part of it, you know. And there's very rare that a guy's first win. I think Fuzzy and I had there's another story time thing I'll get to at some point. Fuzzy and I had a great relationship. Fuzzy Zeller. Then it kind of went sour when everything else went sour for him. But it was just a fun tournament to watch. I love the course. You know, at one point, Karen said, this doesn't look like as pretty as most U.S. Open courses. I go, well, it's not as green, but it's more interesting. And it was fascinating. And again, you're talking about the greatest golfers in the world, because all of them were there, even the LIV guys. And 6 under was the best they could do for 4 rounds of golf. That tells you that's what a U.S. Open's supposed to be. In fact, I don't mind if the winning score is 1 under. I don't want a U.S. Open where somebody's like 15 under. But it was exactly what you wanted it to be. I thought it was really cool how emotional he was, because look, only one of the guys done this. Won the U.S. Open and the U.S. Amateur on the same golf course. And I'll tell you, Brookline is special to me, even though I have no connection. I've never seen it. I've never played it. I've never done anything about it. If I hadn't seen it, it would have been hard to play it. Although, you know, Golden Tee, maybe you can get Brookline on there. But just because of the movie and we talked about it last week, the greatest game ever played, and what Francis Ouimet did there, which is still one of the greatest stories that hasn't even been told. Excuse me. It certainly was told ad nauseum. Who I may be getting ad nauseum here. I get a little sorry. By the people at NBC. But I really love that course, and I love the way. I mean, again, it came down to, at the end, Will Zalatoris, who, God, I like that guy a lot. He looks a little like the guy in Rules of Engagement. Oliver Hudson plays that role. You've never seen that show. It's like one of my favorite shows, and nobody's ever seen it. Yeah, it was on for 7 years, but it went on from one channel to another because they could never pick it up. In fact, at the end, they basically not. I wanted to say CGI, but no, they photoshopped one of the actors into the opening montage because they didn't have time because they got picked up at the last minute. I'm telling you. Watch it if you get a chance. I watch it every night. I watch different episodes. But anyway, that's who he looks like. And then Scotty Scheffler, of course, the number one player in the world. And I was excited about it. I don't think a lot of people, again, we're in a world now where if it's not Tiger, certainly wasn't Phil, 11 over for 2 rounds, very well done. Rory, at least we had Rory in contention. So, but for me, it was good because I'm a golf fan, and I love watching golf. But for a lot of people, maybe not so much. But anyway, Matt Fitzpatrick, and I do want to say, as they say, scared money don't make money. And guess what happens? He's in the bunker on 18. He hits a beautiful shot. He hit a scared shot. He ain't making money. You know what he made? $3.15 million. Booyah! That's not bad. I wonder what his caddy. Does caddy get $300,000? Because he usually get 10%. Maybe that's why he was crying at the end of it. He was crying because he was going to get $300,000. All right, number 2, Oklahoma now up 2-0 in the College World Series. I will say the College World Series is great for having it on your second TV with the sound off. Although it's hard to listen to the sound on with Paul Azinger because he's terrible. Just literally the worst announcer in the history of golf. I hate him. I cannot stand. He will say the same thing over and over again, multiple times, and it's the most obvious thing in the world. Well, if he makes this putt, he'll be 1 under instead of 2 under, or whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And A&M eliminates Texas. So far it's been going great for the SEC at the College World Series. It is good to watch. I'm surprised how much I'm watching it, to be honest with you. Number 3, here's a great stat for you that I looked up today just because I was researching something else. I wasn't researching this. But this is a great stat. Florida probably won't be ranked in the preseason this year in football. You all agree with me on that? Probably not. I don't see a path to them being ranked. Not that it matters, but they probably won't be ranked. And so I looked it up, and I'm going to talk to Coach Spurrier about this. Since Coach Spurrier walked in the door at Florida, his first team was not ranked. That was it. Never was not ranked in the preseason again. Since 2013, this will be the 5th team that hasn't been ranked in the preseason. 2013, 2014, 2015. Again, coaches changing. 2018, Dan Mullen's first year. But again, and Steve Spurrier was his first year. But this is what happens. People look and they go, I don't know if he's going to be any good. I don't know what he's going to do. But this is why Gator fans are as grumpy as they are. And look, I sometimes get upset with you guys because you get too angry and you get too mad and you get too, just not giving a guy a chance. And there's been a little bit of that on the internet. You never know how serious to take it because some fans, when you're mad at a coach who hasn't won or lost a game yet, that's a little ridiculous. But think about that. This will be the 5th time in the last 9 years that Florida will not be ranked going to preseason. Before that, there was one time in the previous, 12 years. this is why Gator fans are grumpy, and I've kind of come to that conclusion. But it's an interesting stat. Number 4 on hand law starting lineup. Tyreek Hill saying that Tua Tagovailoa is more accurate than his previous quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. You know where he said that? On his podcast. This is why you say crazy things on a podcast. Let me tell you what, right now, I think Tyreek Hill's the slowest player in the NFL. Booyah! Put that out there. See if that gets any hits, any clicks. Come on, man. Patrick Mahomes is great. Tua, I hope, is great. I love Tua. I want him to be great. But right now, so far, no. I would go with no on that. And not accurate, what, on air? Yeah, really good against air. That's all he's caught a pass. He hasn't caught a pass in any tough situations with a game on the line against him. But it was his podcast. You got to say things on your podcast. I try to only say what I think. And then finally, on hand law starting lineup, obviously tonight is the game 3 of the Stanley Cup, and we'll get to the Stanley Cup 2 on our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks, because we'll pick not tonight's game, because I know you guys need time to digest and figure it out and get to it. But we'll do the next game, the game 4. But we'll see what happens, whether their game 4 means anything. If they lose tonight, the Lightning, again, they're at home. That'll be a huge game for them. If they don't win that game, they're done. But again, they were down. I remember they were down 2-0 and down 2-0 in the game against the Rangers in game 3. And I'm like, man, the Rangers are going to roll through these guys. And then I don't think the Rangers ever scored again. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be really interesting, but it certainly has been interesting so far. It gives you something. I mean, we talk about this all the time. It is the dead zone for college sports and, the College World Series. I'm into it, but there can't be anybody that's not a fan of any of these teams that's really that into it. I'm into it, but I'm not into it. Like, I'm not going to go home. There's a game going on right now, I think. Do we have it on the TV? How about no? I don't care. I think it's Auburn, Stanford. Whatever. But does it matter to me? No. It mattered when Florida was playing. That's the only thing we worry about here. So we got a lot of things to go over. We'll have Coach Spurrier on in just a minute. 3 things will come up. Obviously, is presented by Hesser and Kipke now. And Ken Hesser has sent me a really good story time thing. He's given me a story time thing every episode that we do of 3 things, and I got a really good one today. Adam's Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. With the Gator Nations everywhere, you can always find something, something that's good. Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. The Power 5 and the bottom 3 we're still going to do, and hopefully we'll get a sponsor for that. We've had our sponsors kind of move around and to things that they really want to be doing, and that's great, and we love that. And hopefully we can get a sponsor for the Power 5 and Major League Baseball. We will do a Big Mills yes, no, or maybe. I think I'm going to ask the questions to myself today. All right, because sometimes I ask them to Evan, but he goes, I don't know what sport that is. So we still may do it. But what we'll do right now is we'll take our usual break, and we'll come back with the HBC. Steve Spurrier will join us, and I'll talk to him about a lot of things that'll be fun, especially a lot of golf. All right? That's going to do it for our first segment here on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, every Monday we have Coach Spurrier on, who is presented by Meldon Law. They won't back down. Coach Spurrier, how are you today?
Yeah, Pat, let's talk about some Gator stuff here real quick. Caleb Dressel, one of the greatest swimmers in the world. He's right there with Michael Phelps as one of the all-time.
He is.
This past week, he is the first American to win back-to-back world titles in the 50 butterfly. First American ever. So Caleb Dressel, still one of the greatest swimmers in the world.
Kid who grew up in Green Cove Springs, of all places.
Yeah,
too.
Green Cove, and I think went to the bowls down there. In track and field, we had a bunch of honors. Obviously, Coach Miles Holloway was the men and women Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year. Anna Hall was the Women's Field Athlete of the Year. Joseph Fombale, I think you pronounce it, is the Men's Athlete of the Year. So all kind of honors for our men and women's track team still keep coming in.
I'm wondering when you were here. I mean, the track program was good then. I mean, did you ever?
It wasn't near what.
But
it
you
is
had
now.
John Capel, who was a track guy, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we didn't have women track till 70, 72 and so forth, so
right.
they didn't have that. But it was pretty good. Jimmy Carnes was the coach.
Yep.
I don't know if they won any nationals, but they were up there competing for SECs. And the distance guy, Frank Shorter, and some of those guys were Olympic champs, so they did very well. I think we ought to give a shout out to the San Francisco Warriors, won the NBA title. Pat, 2 years ago they had the worst record in the NBA.
They did.
Worst record.
They did. Yeah.
Steve Kerr. He and Billy Donovan, two best coaches up there, no question about it. But those guys know how to win. Got to give them credit. Draymond Green is a 6'6" center, going against all them 7-footers and stuff. But I really appreciated Steph Curry emphasizing, man, we're champions. Yep. And they won 4 in 8 years. And so they were holding their 4 fingers up. So it reminded me, Pat, of course, we won 4 SECs in a row.
I remember that picture.
And I still remember, So I looked back in my category here, and I got I think. Well, wait a minute. That's not who I wanted. Here's who I want. Tony George. Tony George. Look at those. He's got both hands and 4 fingers there. Tony George. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'll put it over here a little bit. But Tony George has got both fingers and 4 fingers. And then later after that, I'm standing around with Coach Franks and Collins and Bob Sanders, and they had the 4 fingers up. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see
There you go.
coaches with 4 fingers up after the SEC championship. I think Alabama's won the last 2, and they won 3 in a row, but they have not won 4.
It's hard to win. I mean, it was hard then. I mean, everybody, you can't say that it was easy then. I mean,
Some of our fans thought it was easy because when we didn't win it the next couple of years, they were ready to fire my butt. They said Spurrier's lost it. He can't do it anymore.
I don't know if anybody was ever ready to fire
well,
you.
there was a few out there.
They were mad.
That,
Well, they get mad about everything.
Well,
They're
that's-
mad at Billy Napier right now because he lost a recruit to Georgia.
Well, they're not mad about that. They'll get mad if we don't play hard and play with effort and things like that. But anyway, that was give a little shout out to those guys between 93 and 96, winning those 4 in a row. And somebody does it again, it'll be amazing. Alabama's got a chance, though.
It is amazing, though, to think about that run that you guys went on. I mean, here's a program that had never won an SEC till you got here. That counted. And then you win it 90, obviously didn't count again, even though we count it. You and I count it. 91, you were in the championship game in 92, and then you go 93, 94, 95, 96.
Yeah, we won 6 of the first 7 and lost the championship game. Then we started losing that one little game here and there that we didn't win the division, and then we got to it and got beat by Alabama in 99. But the other teams.
But you had no
the other
quarterback
teams
for
were
that game.
Just
yeah.
about the same.
Yeah, they were.
98, 97, 98. They went 10-2, but we lost to Tennessee and FSU, who played for the national championship that year of 98. And we had 2 road games and lost both of them there. But those guys, all of them are really good. People always say, what are you most proud of? And I say all of them. They all played hard. They all competed. And we won between 9 and 12 every year. We didn't have a stinking year.
I know, which is amazing, especially when you consider, because this is a stat that I pulled out today that I ran in the first segment of the show. When you got here, your first team was unranked, first to preseason unranked. You never had another one that was preseason unranked again. Since then, Florida's had, or even since Urban, Florida's had, this will be because I don't think Florida will be ranked this year in the preseason.
No, we're not preseason.
No.
Right now we're not.
But that'll be 5 in the last 9 years that have not been preseason. But that's what happens when you keep changing coaches. You know, you're so they go, well, I don't know what Mullen's going to do. I don't know what McElwain's going to do. I don't know what Muschamp's going to do. Muschamp's actually, one of his came after they had a great year and then went
4-8.
4-8, yeah. So that was what happened there. But that's why I think some Gator fans are a little grouchy, because they've had all these teams that weren't even ranked in the preseason for a long run here. They need to get back to where every year they're ranked in the preseason.
Well, we should be. Yeah, we should be in the top 25. And I told Billy he's got a chance to do that, because the first game, if we beat Utah, we'll be ranked the next week.
Right.
So he's got a chance to, if he keeps winning, he'll be ranked for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I mean, I'm just trying to think whether there was a time when Florida, I have to look it up, when you weren't ranked after that first game. Because after you beat Oklahoma State, you got ranked right away.
Did you watch the U.S. Open yesterday?
I did.
Yeah,
I
we
did.
all watched that. Here's what my analysis is. The kid that won it, he made a few more putts than Scotty Scheffler and Zalatoris. Boy, that kid's right up there.
I like it.
Oh, he's been runner-up in the majors
Last
now.
3, yeah.
Yeah,
last
3 out of 4. Will Zalatoris. But, man, it's just a putt here, a putt there. There's no one guy that's so much better than the rest of the guys. And you know, the guys noted to be the best players in the world, the Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Rahm, Brooks Koepka. They're not up there. Now, Justin Thomas did come in and win that PGA, who's quite fortunate. Man, it's just anybody can win. And that's the tough thing about golf. There's only one winner out of 100 guys.
I know.
Team sports,
156 in this case,
half the guys competing win in team sports. But golf is, man, that's a difficult sport to make a living. You got to really, really be good at it. And I can sort of see why some of those guys took the money, because they can't win on our tour. Patrick Reed and some of those guys, Mickelson, they're not going to beat our guys that are out there now.
Now they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, why not take the big money? I mean, football coaches, they go take big money. Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma. It wasn't blood money at Southern Cal, was it? I don't know. It just seems people gave him an awful hard time. But in life, people take another job for more money.
That's
just sort of the way the world is.
I do.
Yep.
Hey, we got a question that I asked for questions for Coach Spurrier. If you don't want to give us some, one that I got from Harold. He wants to know what, if any, coaching philosophies you took from Ray Graves, who was your coach, of course, in college.
Well, you try to learn from every coach you're under along the way. Coach Graves just kept everybody upbeat. He was a little bit maybe like Bobby Bowden coach. He never called a play, offense, defense that I know of. But
he called for 2 though at one time.
He went for 2. He said, go for 2. Coach Pepper put that 2-point play in. He did make the calls.
Yeah.
And when I came over and said, Coach, let me kick the field goal, he said, you got it. Go kick it. And I did the same thing when a field goal kicker came to me. We were playing Tennessee, and I'm at South Carolina. And our kicker came by and he said, field goal, right, Coach? And the kid.
Was that Elliott Fry?
No, that was Brown. It was 05. No, it was 05. It was 05. And he kicked the longest kick of his career, 49-yarder, perfect kick. And we beat Tennessee 16-15.
I remember that now. Now that I think about it, because Florida had just beaten Georgia, and I got home in time to see the end of your game.
Yeah, 16-15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've won 2 one-point games in my life. That was one of them, and you know the other one, SEC championship.
24-23.
24-23, Alabama. Yep. I wasn't as lucky in those one-pointers as some guys were, but I only lost 3 or 4, I think, something like that.
Yeah, well, Alabama being one of them. That was the one that was
in '99.
That was, I would think, one of your toughest losses, because you guys had the game pretty. If Darrell Jackson didn't drop that punt, and if you don't miss an extra point, I mean, it was a great game for people watching it. Just average fans watching the game.
Yeah, we missed an extra point, and then they missed it.
They missed it,
and we jumped offside.
Who was offside?
Marquise.
No.
Manuel. Yeah, it was, too.
I think it was Benny
Number
Alexander.
4. No, it was
Marquand
Manuel.
Marquand Manuel?
Yeah, number 4.
Because somebody wrote that it was Benny. But again, I think there was 2 guys offside on that play. Because, but that had been one that was hard to stomach, because I know you hated losing.
Well, you hate to beat yourself, and you hate those things. But, sometimes it happens. You don't win every time out.
You don't?
No, guys played pretty hard, but some stuff happened, and we didn't win that one.
Well, that's what I talk about with recruiting. When like a player right now just recently committed to Georgia, and I'm like, do you think Georgia stopped recruiting because Billy Napier came here? Do you think Alabama's going to stop recruiting? I mean, these guys are still going to recruit at a high level. It's just that Florida needs to get up to that high level and recruit at that level.
Oh, well, yeah, you recruit the best you can and go from there. And when you lose one, you forget about him. That's what I did. I can't worry about him when they sign. Nowadays, they commit different places, and at the last week, they may change their minds. So you just keep recruiting till signing day's over, and then you start recruiting the portal all the time also, I guess. But anyway, recruiting is very important, but it's not everything. The San Francisco Warriors win the NBA title. On paper, they don't have the best players. They got the best shooter, Steph Curry. But the other guys, you wouldn't put them on the All-Star team, I don't think.
No.
And some guy named Andrew Wiggins, I had really never heard of him much.
Well, I knew him.
He's their second best player. He played super through the
Here's how old I am. I covered his dad at FSU. Mitchell
right?
Wiggins, who was a very good player. And I remember talking to him on the phone several times. We actually were good friends.
The moral of the story is teams win. Teams win. Individuals
Except golf.
get headlines.
But even golf has teams.
Oh, they all got their teams.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah, they sure do. But any of them can win. Just depends on who makes a couple of long putts or
Exactly.
so, and so forth. Yeah.
Was there one kid you lost in recruiting that it really bothered you for a couple of days, or you always just kind of go, he's gone.
Yeah,
Let's go for the next guy.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get him. It's the way it works out. I didn't worry about it too much. I mean, what can you do about it?
Yeah, exactly. Not much. All right, so every time on the Monday show with Coach Spurrier, we're going to always talk about one of his teams. In this case, it's going to be the 1964 team, which was his sophomore year, and he was getting his feet wet. You had a freshman team back then, right?
We had freshman ball. We played 4 games, played all 3, Miami, FSU, Georgia, and who else do we play? Miami,
Usually Auburn
FSU.
or
Auburn. Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn, Georgia, FSU, Miami. Yeah, we opened up at Auburn, and I think we beat them 21-7, and we lost at Miami, but we beat Georgia pretty good here at home, and I think we beat FSU up there. We were 3-1.
What kind of crowds did you get for those
I count that
games?
win over Georgia, by the way. I was 2-2 as a player against Georgia.
And 11-1 as a coach?
Yeah, the
or?
Bulldogs talk about clobbering me 2 out of 3 in Jacksonville. But I count that freshman game because we were keeping score.
Yeah.
We had a few people in the stands, a couple of hundred anyway.
That's what I was gonna say.
And it was played here in the swamp. So
I actually did the chain gang for a Florida game in the freshman game when I was in school here, like 1973.
yeah,
So-
I think it went till
Yeah.
into the 70s
Yeah.
sometimes when
So
freshmen were
The
eligible.
chain gang didn't show up, so they said, "Hey, can anybody do it?" And I go, "Well, we know how to hold a chain. We can
Yeah.
do that
It's
even."
not too difficult, is it?
It's not.
Yeah.
But so that season was really interesting. You guys start out beat SMU. When you're going to that season, what are your expectations?
Oh, Pat, we didn't have a lot of goals. We just let's go have a good season. I don't know. We didn't have any goals. I don't remember him. We just game by game. We would try to get ready. Play our best and this, that, and the other. Coach Ellenson was excellent defensive coordinator.
Right.
I think that 64 defense might have been number 1 in the nation in total yards. I'm serious. They were really good. If we'd had just a little bit better offense here, there, and the other, that team could have won them all.
Yeah. Well, obviously you lost Alabama there.
Yeah.
That was a tough loss because 17-14, and I know that at the end of the game there was kind of question about where the yard lines were and everything
I screwed
like that.
it up. I screwed it up big time. I thought we were on the 1.5 yard line, and Johnny Fiber had scored earlier in the game, and I hustled back and called it because it was right at the end of the game, and we ran the ball with no timeouts. And he went in there for about 1.5 yards, and all of a sudden I looked, we were on the 6.5 yard line. Their end zone was it's not marked off or anything, just a line, and I'd actually run the ball to about the 6.5, and I thought it was the 1.5.
Yeah.
They called a running play, and then we tried to hurry it up field goal, and our guy missed it off to the right. So they won 17-14. I think they won all their games that year, and we came back and lost. I think we lost, 2 more somewhere that year.
Well, you lost FSU, which nobody lost FSU
64,
back then.
that's right.
Yeah,
Lost up
16-7.
there.
Yeah.
And might have lost to Mississippi State or somebody. I'm not sure who the other one was.
Yeah, I think you lost to Georgia that year too.
Oh, yeah, I lost
Yeah.
to Georgia,
Yep.
64.
But then you come back
14-7.
and you close with Miami and LSU, and which LSU was moved from Hurricanes. And I always reference this game when people talk about Hurricane games. I go, everybody forgets the 64 game. I remember listening to that game on the radio. Otis Boggs doing the game, night game, late in the year, and it was probably pretty cold out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the best games that team probably had. We won 20-6, is that
Yep.
correct? And Alan Trammell was our holder for field goals, and we had a little fake field goal screen back pass that he threw for a touchdown. And we ended up winning 20-6. And it was a night game. It was pretty cold that night. It was in December. And so we stayed over that night, and then I think flew back the next day. So Coach Graves let us spend the night in Baton Rouge there. So that was last game of the year. I think we had a little party somewhere. I don't know where it was in Baton Rouge, but the season was over after that game because we did not go to bowl game that year.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you think about it that here was a team that had a really good season, but
7-3.
bowls weren't, they just weren't.
Yeah.
You only had like 6 or 7 bowl games back, so you weren't even going into the season thinking we're going to a bowl game.
We didn't talk about a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know what we talked about. Where's the party after the game? That was a lot of conversation about that sometimes.
That's great. That's great stuff. Well,
Not really.
I do remember that game, being a
Yeah.
kid and listening to that game with my dad.
Yeah.
And of course, Father's Day was just yesterday, and I'm sure you got a lot of great hugs and kisses.
Well, yeah, in
and greetings.
hindsight, Pat, I wish our teams would have had more goals and really would have emphasized, hey, fellas, we're going to remember these games the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Why don't we put everything into it, try to have the best season possible? But I don't know, we just didn't, attitude-wise, all that kind of stuff. We just didn't do it back in those days. So maybe that helped me as a coach to emphasize to
Right.
the team all the time, hey, you only play 4 years in college ball. Pro ball, you may play, you may not. 2% get a chance to play pro
Right,
ball?
right.
So whatever you do in college, whatever sport, you're going to remember the rest of your life. Why not make the best of it you possibly can?
Did you get anything special for Father's Day?
Oh, I got my usual calls from everybody, and a lot of times when the kids come, they'll have some kind of gifts or something.
This is what I got.
I used to get
Sweet
I
sunglasses.
used to get a birthday, a swimsuit from daughter Lisa all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe she's got another one. I've got so many bathing suits, I don't know what to do with it.
I actually got a bathing suit myself. I think it's because we know
Father's Day.
everybody knows we're going to go out in the water. We
Yeah, it's
you
time
and
to
I
go to
have
the
that
beach.
much in common. We love the water.
Love
right?
the ocean. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for Coach Spurrier's appearance here, brought to you by Meldon Law as always. And we love having him on Mondays, and love reminiscing about that '64 team. Was one of my favorite teams, even though I was just 10 years old at the time. But it was a fun team to watch and fun team to listen to. Remember the great Otis Boggs? Did he ever actually interview you, or?
No, we didn't do much
Yeah.
interviews. Just after the game, they would talk to the guys.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
much
it was a lot different back in those days. I don't remember our meeting rooms. Where'd the quarterback meet with the coaches? We just, after class or, on the field, 3 o'clock, whatever, go practice and come back and shower up. We did have study hall. We had a tutor that we had to go to that and then go to class and then go to practice.
So you didn't watch a lot of film, right?
Not much.
Yeah.
I can't remember a lot of film.
You just
at
watched
all.
the game, but
We
I think
watched
that,
a little bit of the other team.
I think that
but
part of-
meetings and playbooks and this, that, and the other, new ball plays. No, we just had our offense like everybody else did back then, really.
Well, I think that's one thing that helped you because you got to see the field all the time, and I think that's what helped you as a coach.
Well, it helped me, I think, being a backup in the
Yeah.
NFL, and I just watched defenses all the time. And Brody had come off the field.
Yeah.
What coverage did they play? And I'd tell him, and this, that, and the other. So that was that. As a backup quarterback, watching the other team's defense, that's what I did as a coach, calling plays. I'd see what they're sort of playing and try to go from there.
You could have just put a golf hat on, just sat on the sideline. At least you paid attention.
As a
right?
backup quarterback, that's about what they do. Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it for Coach Spurrier's time, and we will be back with all of our great things, 3 things. Leonardo's a Millhopper Quick Picks. Of course, Adam's Ribco to go Gator of the weekend, and the Power
4.
5.
Got to remember your 4 now, Pat. The 93 through 96 teams. So
Yeah.
this is for all the guys that played on those 4 teams. We had a bunch of guys that did that.
I
Donnie,
covered all those games.
Donnie
so
Young and
can I
those
put my
guys.
fingers up?
Yeah, 4. That's what the Warriors.
I covered them all.
The Warriors were doing that the other day.
All right, Coach, great having you as always, and we'll be back with all of our other stuff when we return on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another duly noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Oh, all right. Welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I thought it was fascinating what Coach Spurrier had to say about when he was, and that's why I want to bring up years he played and years he coached, both, because I thought it was fascinating when he talked about how, his sophomore year, they really had no goals. They had no playbook. They didn't meet. They didn't talk. They just kind of went out and practiced certain plays, and then a lot of times he would just draw them up in the dirt. In fact, that 65 Missouri game, he'll tell you the story, and we'll get to that, but he's told me the story a million times about how basically the offense wasn't working. They couldn't do anything, and he basically said, well, let me just call some play. I'll draw up some plays in the dirt. And that's what they did, and they came back from 20-0, and of course lost 20-18 because they went for 2 every time, which was silly. But anyway, always love having Coach Spurrier on. Let us do the Big Mills cheesesteaks, yes, no way, or maybe, and I'm going to ask Evan these questions, and we'll see what kind of answers we get, because we're going with the theme of Florida probably, and again, I'm not 100% sure they're not going to be ranked in the preseason. There have been Florida teams that have been ranked in the preseason. I went, are you kidding me? They probably shouldn't be ranked. But they're, because of the brand. The brand's a big deal. I'm doing a story. I write a lot of these things for Gators Wire, these lists, and it's usually 12 of this, 12 of that. And one of the ones I'm doing later this week is 12 Gator teams that were unranked in the preseason and went on to have really good years, or at least overachieved. Let's put it that way. But let us go with number one on the yes, no way, or maybe, presented by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, street dining done right. Number one, Florida will be ranked after September is over, Evan, because in September they get Utah, Kentucky, at Tennessee. Will Florida be ranked?
Yes.
He's saying yes. Let me tell you what. Go ahead. Yes. All right, it's 2 yeses. Okay. If they are ranked, that'll be good news because those first 4 games, they've got 3 of them are losable games. And, you know, I know everybody goes, oh, he's losable. We should win them all. No, they're losable games. Utah is going to be a top 5 or top 10 team. Kentucky will probably be a top 15 team coming into that game. And Tennessee will have played nobody. They play Pitt, but Pitt's not going to be the same team without Kenny Pickett, in my opinion. That's it. That's all they have. That'll be a huge game for Florida. So in those first 4 games, they could literally, I'm not trying to be negative, but they could be 1-3. They could be 2-2. If they're 3-1, they will be ranked. So you guys are right. All right, number 2 on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks, yes, no way, or maybe. Florida will be ranked at some point this season in basketball. They will not again be ranked in the preseason. I can promise you that. And nobody's ranking them right now. He's bringing in some good players, brand new coach. We'll see what happens. At some point. No way. Oh, Evan, cutting them down. What do you got? No comment. That's beautiful. That's kind of the way I feel about it. No comment. Look, they might be. If they and again, their schedule's pretty tough. You know, we talked about it last week. They've added Kansas State. It's going to be a tough schedule. So I this is the thing that both these coaches, these new coaches, are walking into, is maybe not the greatest talent and a tough schedule. It's hard. It's difficult when you start out like that. And finally, after Florida's bowl game this year, the Gators will be ranked. Now, that's assuming there will be a bowl game. So maybe I think is the answer. Yeah, we go with maybe. So that is our Big Mills Cheesesteaks, yes, no way, or maybe. Don't forget, if you go into Big Mills Cheesesteaks and tell them that you listen to or watch another Dooley Noted podcast, free French fries with your order. And I'm thinking about doing that later today. Although I'm actually going to play golf with the HBC, so that'll be fun.
Y'all can go there after.
Coach, yeah, I can go there after. Coach Spurrier and P. Delicato, which I'm looking forward to doing that. I've been playing pretty good. I'm like afraid that I'm going to get nervous because, well, I'll try. I'll do the best I can. All right, it is time for 3 things, and of course it is presented by Hesser Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklaw.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Ken and I had a lot of conversations over the weekend. The website, what I read it wrong? www.hklawfl.com. Is that better? Yeah. www.hklawfl.com. There you go. I screwed it up the first time. All right, number 1, I was real excited about the Braves, this 14-game win streak on. Of course, they lost on Friday. They ended up winning on Sunday, lost Saturday. But the worst part of it was they lost 1-0, and I got thinking about this. A 1-0 loss is the worst loss you can have in baseball. It is the worst. I'd rather lose 9-0 than 1-0. 1-0 means if just one guy had just elevated one pitch, you would still be playing. 2-1 isn't as bad as 1-0. Am I wrong about that? Maybe if you've got an opinion about that, you can share it with me. You can just send me a text at patrickdooley54@gmail.com, and I'm curious what you think. I think 1-0 is the worst you can get. Now, losing 5-4 like Florida did in baseball was not good. Nobody enjoyed that to end their season, but it's different than 1-0. 1-0 feels different than any other loss. Just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong about this. That's number one on Three Things presented by Hesser and Kipke. Number two, the LIV Tour or Live Tour, whatever they want to call it. I still don't know what LIV stands for. Is it Roman numerals? I don't know. What would that be? Like at one point, 54. So somebody was pointing out that the guys on the LIV Tour were 54 over par. It's perfect. Anyway, they're going to apply for world rankings, according to Greg Norman. Of course, he had to do that on Saturday night, when everybody's getting ready for the, here's what I say to you. Okay, so how are we going to rank the players that are playing on this tour that has 17 guys that anybody's ever heard of? And barely 17. Kevin, that includes Kevin Na, guys like that. Are we going to get excited? How do you rank? How do you give the guy who wins the Canadian Open and the guy who wins the London exhibition match the same number? Even if you get ranking points, even if you win that appeal, and don't forget the commissioner of the PGA Tour is on the committee that decides. I think it's 8 guys. He's one of them. Now he can recuse himself, but I'm sure he's going to have some influence over it. It seems silly to me. It's just, but again, we forgot about the LIV Tour for a long time this weekend. I didn't think about it at all, and it was good. I enjoyed it much better because I didn't. And finally, number 3, story time. Ken likes me to do story time, and he was asking me about, he understood there was a wrestling team here at the University of Florida, and there was. And I guess who their sports information director was? Pat Dooley. I was a student at the University of Florida at the time, and I traveled with the team and wrote stories, and I would send them back to all these newspapers. Of course, none of them used it because nobody cared about wrestling at the time. But I still had to send them. So I traveled with them, and I got to find out about what wrestlers do, which is basically to starve themselves, take laxatives, get in steam rooms until they make weight, and then guess what they do that afternoon? They go to like a Golden Corral, all-you-can-eat buffet, and just to watch them eat, I would just go, you guys, this isn't right. What you're doing isn't right. I mean, you're starving yourselves for days and dehydrating yourselves, and then you're pouring all this bad food into you. But I love those guys. They were really good friends of mine. I loved them. Ricky Wolfson and Paul Schmidt and all those guys. Gary Schneider, who a lot of you know, who still lives in town. I think he still lives in town. I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to be at the health club all the time as a coach. But yeah, Florida had a wrestling team. The end of it was Title IX. Title IX, which one of the only negatives of Title IX, and believe me, I am so in favor of women's sports, as all of you know that. And I love that the Title IX came along. But the casualties were a couple of teams, and one of them was gymnastics at Florida. I mean, I don't know. Gymnastics at Florida doesn't even seem possible now. But that is my story from the wrestling team on Three Things, presented by Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to the Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And Coach brought up the one guy I was going to do, but I had already decided not to do him. I could. Caleb Dressel, of course, winning the 50 free in the World Championships. But I decided to go with Muriel Page. Muriel Page, of course, great Gator, one of the 5 probably greatest women's basketball players ever here, maybe top 2. I mean, Page and Milton, it was unbelievable combination. But she is going to be inducted into the Washington Mystics, the WNBA Hall of Fame on Sunday. First ever draft pick for the team, and of course, this is the 25th year of the Mystics, so congratulations, Muriel. Of course, Muriel was an assistant coach here for a little while as well. So great player, great person. Really love her, and we appreciate her. And to go into this Hall of Fame, that's a great honor for her. So she is our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend, yes, Friday night. That was where we went. Yeah, I mean, it was Saturday. It's one of those nights. And grab some of that Adams Ribco to go. It's an easy out for me. Here, I'll take care of dinner, honey. I'm out. Got it. Yeah, here it is. Great. All right. And that's why Adams Ribco to go is the greatest. We appreciate them. let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. I actually heard from Kyle today about playing a little golf next weekend. So great to hear that he's doing better with he had a knee surgery, but he's doing a lot better. Look, I like to give you guys a little time. I would do Lightning Avalanche tonight, but since a lot of you don't listen to the podcast until Tuesday or Wednesday, give you a little time to get in. We'll do game 4 of Lightning and Avalanche. So, look, you can wait till after tonight, and then you may have a better feel for it. If the Lightning beat them, you go, I think they can beat them twice, at home especially. But that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And finally, we get to our Power 5 and bottom 3. And again, these are not with a sponsor anymore because sponsors have moved around. If you want to get involved in that or anything else you want to do, I've already had contact with some other people about doing some other things. We love to have a lot of sponsors on here, a lot of fun things to do, and that's the main purpose of it. But our Power 5, unfortunately, hasn't changed a whole lot because the Yankees keep winning. Now, they did also, they did also have their win streak end in a slugfest. I think it was 10-9. I think the Blue Jays beat them. I don't follow the Yankees that close. Let's just put it that way. But they are 49-17 now. So I keep waiting for it to slide, and it won't. Seems like it won't. The Mets are number 2 at 44-24. It really is a bad world we're living in when I've got to put up with that. I couldn't even